Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Franchise Pearson, and welcome again to my channel. It is January 31st of 2026. Happy Saturday, 8:48 in the a.m. Let's say it together. Praise our Heavenly Father, from whom all blessings flow. May He shower us with His grace, love, and mercy. Thank you for your Son, Jesus. Please send your angels as we journey one more day closer to thy coming. And He is coming. The beautiful scriptures, they foretold this moment, and boy, were they accurate, right? This morning, I want to venture back down the short memory lane of Don Lemon, yet go into the civil rights movement, and then go back to a time where there was a blemish, a big blemish on our country, the Joe Biden, Donald Trump election. Yeah, that moment where the world became divided, very much divided. November 3rd, 2020. I believe it all fits. I believe it's all relevant. I went to bed thinking about it last night, so I'm like, I got to do a video on it. It was pressing. We need a historical perspective, in part, in how we got here. So let me begin and show you a few videos, and I'm going to speak about how I would be remiss to not tell all the players involved that brought us to this moment a thank you. We're going to start off with Don Lemon out of court.
Former CNN anchor turned independent journalist Don Lemon appeared in federal court this afternoon to face charges related to a live streaming report he did at a protest during a church service in St. Paul, Minnesota. Here's what he told reporters afterwards.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silent. I look forward to my day in court.
Along with Don Lemon, 3 other people were arrested, including Minnesota independent journalist Georgia Fort. She went before Judge today. She joins us tonight. We'll have that interview in a moment. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the arrests are connected to a, quote, coordinated attack on City's church nearly 2 weeks ago. But Lemon and Ford say they were doing their jobs as journalists and were not protesters. All 4 arrested are charged with 1 count of conspiracy against right of religious freedom at place of worship and 1 count of injure, intimidate, and interfere with exercise of right of religious freedom at place of worship. In announcing their arrests on social media this morning, Bondi used the words, quote, at my direction, which is not what you typically see from an attorney general. The White House has posted this photo with the words, when life gives you lemons, along with a chain emoji. President Trump has been critical, obviously, of Don Lemon for years. Lemon himself has not been shy in calling out the president and his administration. A magistrate judge had initially refused to allow federal officials to arrest Lemon and take him into custody, but they took it to a grand jury in Minnesota and got a felony indictment. And the indictment, unsealed this afternoon, alleges that Don Lemon and the others charged, quote, oppressed, threatened, and intimidated the church congregants and pastors. Here's some of what Lemon said during that live stream. Take a look.
I'm just here photographing. I'm not part of the group. I'm just here photographing. I'm a journalist. You don't know. That's what they're saying. So we're here just chronicling and reporting. We're not part of the activists, but we're here just reporting on them.
Don Lemon's attorney released a statement saying in part, quote,
this case, or should I say this precedence, could set the tenor and tone going forward for journalists. throughout all 50 states. Keep an eye on it. I believe it was and is a part of an alleged scheme to go after journalism and for the government to decide exactly what journalism is in relation to the Constitution. It takes situations like this to do a rediscovery, if you will, and redefine what the current definition is. The Constitution, I have a book that talks about it being a breathing document. So now we have the courts and the Supreme Court, which will define. Again, I believe this was all deliberate. So I want you to understand that to me, there's a scheme involved. I want you to listen to what is going on now in our streets, in our frigid, cold streets.
Nationwide wave of protests from Minneapolis to Los Angeles to Raleigh, North Carolina. Mass demonstrations across the country. Tens of thousands marching in ICE out protests, protesting ICE and Border Patrol after the deadly killings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. In Los Angeles, several businesses shut their doors Friday.
With what our country is going through right now, what our city is going through right now, with what the world is going through right now, I think it's more important to spread love.
Students walked out of class to join the protests. ABC's Matt Rivers is on the ground in Minneapolis.
People are out here taking to the streets, braving the bitter cold with a clear message. They don't approve of the ICE crackdown in their community.
The Justice Department launching a federal investigation into the killing of ICU nurse Alex Preddy, including...
I have done videos on Preddy. I've done videos on Renee Nicole Good. I am not convinced that these stories are true. If Preddy was so important to ICE, when he had his encounter with ICE, when he kicked out the rear light from the ICE vehicle, clearly there was a gun on his waist. He should have been arrested then. He should have been arrested then. I have done 19 years working off and on in security and with the police department. And I can tell you, anybody would tell you in law enforcement, that was a crime. The moment he kicked out the light on that ICE vehicle, that was a crime. 11 days later, allegedly he's dead. I decoded it, just like I decoded Good. They got to move forward with this thing with a few things in the hamper merging at the same time. The legal as well as the social. And now we have common people as well as students demonstrating, falling right into the trap. Here's Don Lemon on his podcast, received over 500,000 views since last night once he spoke, after he had his day in court.
So look, I have been, guys, a journalist for 30 years, if not more. I'm a man of a certain age. You know, I always say old people be knowing. And the only job or profession that is protected in the Constitution, I believe, and in the very First Amendment, is a job that I do. It's a job that I have, and so many journalists around the world. So this is a moment for journalists, I believe, around the world. And I am so grateful to everyone who has voiced their support, who has put out statements, who has reached out to me, who has said, whatever you need financially, whatever support that you need. It has been overwhelming. And I do think right now that people understand that, again, this is a very critical time. And I hope that this continues, and to support not just me. If I can be the catalyst for or the inspiration for people to say, finally, stand up to the powers that be in our government, and also, quite frankly, having come.
Is he playing victim? Is he the catalyst? Is he the new face of this modern day social movement? Was it all planned? We're nearing the end, people. I was debating if I wanted to show this. I show it more times than not the last few months. This is me in my apartment when I was 17 years old. I'm holding Abraham Lincoln. I've got the Liberty Bell and everything red, white, and blue. I was celebrating the bicentennial of America. Not too long after that, God gave me a vision of the now. Again, I was hesitant to bring it because I'm like, Pearson, they've seen it enough. Then again, why not? I got to set the basis of it. Because like you, I'm in it. I have a history of being patriotic in the place where I lay my head and plant my feet. It would be remiss for me not to acknowledge the designers who are trying to destroy this country. I want to thank you, all of those who are carrying out the Hidden Powers playbook. You see, because I've been watching this thing, and God gave me warning when I was 17 that this day would come, the end of our country. I want to thank all the presidents who have played the role of being elected, yet the majority, from my historical account, were selected. And those who ventured off the beaten path, possibly like the first 3 out of 5 presidents, died on July 4th, of which I don't see that as a coincidence. You see, because when you're put in a position that gives the illusion that you're supposed to serve the people, and you don't serve the ones that placed you there, they will take you out. So I want to say thank you, all the presidents, from the first and now to the last. Thank you for playing this role of giving us the illusion of hope, of dreams, sprinkles of heaven as we go through this thing called life, of which many of us found ourselves in a living hell. I want to thank you for traveling around the world, setting up and arranging and passing policies, okaying policies, to create your one world system. Something that which was not really announced on a broader scale until George Herbert Walker Bush said it in the congressional chambers. I want to thank you for echoing his sentiments and for now giving it a new name, the Golden Age. I want to thank the Congress for playing their role as well as a support system, as well as the Supreme Court. Without your gallant effort toward the demise of this country, we would not be here. I want to thank the Justice Department and all those who have served in that prestigious position, how we looked up to you with honor, that you would serve justice. And all of our great cities and our counties would serve justice. But as the Bible says in the book of Matthew, in the last days, justice, she will flee. She will hide her face. I want to thank all the networks for allowing the powers to buy you out, sell you out, and all the educational systems accepting all the monies from these big corporations. Then at some point knowing that the monies that they gave you, the influence that they slowly achieved, would change our curriculum and change our perspective on how we perceive how justice and how America should be. I want to thank the journalists who went to school with this energy to be accountable to the citizenry. Yet when they finally got that big job, they realized that they had to become a hand, a tentacle of that hidden power, which is rarely talked about. I want to thank the folks in Minnesota, the politicians, and all the activists there, and how you are participating in the downfall of the country. That you allegedly knew full well that this day would come. That you would be the 9/11 of all 9/11s. And all the demonstrators and the crisis actors, how you were bussed in or recruited, or you just didn't know, but now you're gonna know that you have become part of a long-term, gradual plan, a plan which started with our Bill of Rights and Constitution that many bled and died for in all the wars, yes, gave their lives, that we really believe that America was built for us. But sadly, we're finding out that it wasn't. That all along it was made for the 1%. That we really haven't pulling away from Britain, no any major kings and queens of history who always wanted to operate from a authoritarian position. So I thank you, demonstrators and actors. Without you demonstrating, without you causing a living hell in our current America, it would be almost impossible to go forth in igniting and creating a spark within those who breathe freedom on a daily basis, who unknowingly, yet some knowingly, would get out there and help demonstrate with you for those things that we hold dear truth to our heart, but yet we don't know that there is a devilish intent in place. And finally, yet, I'm sure I missed a few, I want to thank all the independent journalists who have sold out their soul as well, who are marching to the beat of a different drum, certainly not ours. That you have become a a menace. To the lady that stands tall in New York Harbor. To hell with our babies. To hell with our future. This social media, you had to make a choice. You wanted the glamour, you wanted the fame, you wanted the money, you wanted the accolades, you wanted the views. You wanted it at the cost of all of us. That when we watch your shows, we are convinced of your believability. Yet many of us are being fooled because you're just echoing what is being crafted before us. And so now as we look in retrospect, we're losing a lot of laws. They're passing a lot of executive orders. All of you stand on the shoulders of your forefathers, a continuous solidarity. Never mind the millions upon millions of free-thinking, God-fearing Americans who truly love this country. The hell with us. We don't matter. We never have mattered. You choose, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, you're selling us out as you get your few coins of silver and your promise as you bask in the sun of the promised land. Again, your golden age. To hell with God. To hell with God's promises. You're cutting out the Genesis. Again, I would be remiss not to acknowledge your effort and tell you thank you. But know this, the end that you worked so diligently for to bring change, that is the promise of change, by your handlers, irregardless of what prestigious or different position that you hold, you're gonna have your Adam and Eve moment when you realize that one act that you made, the one decision that you made, not only cost the earth and its inhabitants, it will always and always cost you. So when you hear this message and you go and you look in the mirror, I want you to ask yourself, was it worth it?